Hello everyone, welcome to our weekly quiz. So this is our 8th quiz this week. As you all must be knowing by now that we conduct this weekly quiz every week, and in this we present you random questions from civil engineering from random topics, and then I give you some time to solve these questions, and after that I explain you the solution for that question so that you can identify what are your strong points, strong subjects, and if you can randomly solve questions from any of the given subjects, so that even if you have any difficulty you can ask us the doubts and check your level in that subject and work upon it. So for the people who are new, also you can check out our app APSEd. You can download it from Google Play Store, and we have our website also apsed.in, which is exclusively for civil engineering competitive exam preparation and for your semester preparation also. So we have various resources like the syllabus of an exam or different articles also, which will help you in your exam preparation. For the people who buy our basic package and premium study package, these packages are specifically designed for clearing gate and engineering services. So these include video tests and study material, practice questions, and full on doubt support. So even if you have any doubt in any of the subjects, or if any general doubt is also there, you can always ask us these doubts and we'll be happy to help you. And also we have our Facebook group, which is exclusively for the people taking our basic and premium study package. So in this group you can ask any of your queries, and the other students, apart from the faculties, other students can also solve your doubts. So go on our website and check out our app also if you have not already downloaded it. So with that, let's start today's quiz. So this is the first question. For the two-dimensional irrotational flow, the velocity potential is defined as phi is equal to ln x square plus y square. Which one of the following is the possible stream function for this flow? So we have to find out the stream function in this question. So we know velocities u and v in terms of velocity potential as well as stream function. So in terms of stream function, it is del psi upon del y, and potential function del phi upon del x. Similarly, v is given as minus del psi upon del x and also del phi upon del y. So we can use these two to obtain the stream function. So we can use u is equal to del psi upon del y is equal to del phi upon del x. So we differentiate this function with respect to x, so it will be 1 upon x square plus y square times 2x. Similarly, we can also differentiate with respect to y, so we'll obtain minus del psi upon del x is equal to del phi upon del y, or 2y upon x square plus y square. Now we can integrate this function for obtaining the stream function. So we have phi is equal to integral of this particular part. So I mean, if we take one more step, so we have del psi upon del y as, if we rearrange it, so we can write it as 1 upon 1 plus y square upon x square. X square I have taken out. So it becomes a standard function 1 plus y upon x whole square. I mean 1 upon 1 plus y upon x to the whole square. So for tan inverse ax, we know the integral is given as 1 upon a tan inverse ax. So from here, I mean if we use the same logic, so from that we obtain phi is equal to this 1x will cancel out, and another one, I mean when we'll integrate, so there will be one more x from this part, so this will cancel and we'll be having 2 times tan inverse y upon x. This is the value of integral 1 upon 1 plus ax square. So from that we obtain 1 by a tan inverse ax. So for that we are obtaining this value plus a function of x. So because it's a partial integral, so we obtain the constant parameter in terms of the other variables, and then if we differentiate it with respect to x, so we have del psi upon del x as 2 upon 1 plus y square upon x square times minus 1 upon x square plus f dash x. And if we put the value of del psi upon del x from this value here, from this differentiation that we did, so from that we obtain f dash x is equal to 0, and finally we have the stream function as 2 tan inverse y upon x. So this is the required stream function. So 2 tan inverse y upon x is the correct answer here. Let's move on to the next question. So here it says an industrial wastewater enters the stream having a BOD concentration of 10 milligram per liter and flow of 20 meter cube per second. If the flow of wastewater is 1.5 meter cube per second and BOD concentration is 250 milligrams per liter, then the BOD concentration in the stream at a point downstream of the point of confluence of wastewater with the stream will be. So we have to find out the BOD of the mix. So BOD of the mix, that is a very direct and simple formula. We take discharge times BOD, so Q1 Y1 plus Q2 Y2 upon Q1 plus Q2, that is a simple formula. So the discharge in the stream is 20 meter cube per second, so 20 times BOD is 10 milligrams per liter, plus for the waste it is 1.5 times 250 divided by 20 plus 1.5 or 21.5. So from here if we solve, BOD of the mix is directly 26.74 milligrams per liter. So that was a very easy question. Directly we had to just apply the formula here. Then let's see the next one. Now here it's just a theoretical question from irrigation. A sprinkle irrigation system is suitable when? So out of all these conditions, what will be the best suitable option where we should apply sprinkle irrigation system? So the options are: the land gradient is steep and the soil is easily erodible, the soil is having low permeability, the water table is low, the crops to be grown have deep roots. So out of these options, you can easily think that if it is a sprinkler irrigation system, then the discharge through these sprinklers will be relatively very low. So if the soil has very low permeability, if it is clay soil or something, then it's very difficult for this water to reach to the roots of the soil. So that's not an answer. Water table is low. If water table is low, then it means that it requires high discharge, which is not a suitable case if we are doing sprinkler irrigation. Similarly, the crops to be grown have deep roots, so that is also not desired in case of irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, because this water will not percolate as deep. So out of that, out of the four, option A is the most suitable option here, or the correct answer. That is, the land gradient is steep and soil is easily erodible. So for these conditions, if we are having a high discharge, then this soil will be eroded further, and if land gradient is also steep, then water will not hold if the discharge is high. So for that case, sprinkler system is more suitable. Then the next question, here it says the design speed for a national highway is 100 km per hour. If the maximum permissible super elevation is 0.1 and the coefficient of lateral friction is 0.15, the ruling minimum radius of the horizontal curve on the highway should be. So this is also very easy. We know the super elevation, I mean including the friction also. We know the expression E plus F is given as V square upon GR. So we have to find out this radius here. So R is equal to V square upon G times E plus F. All these values are given to us and we just have to apply the formula. So in this formula, the velocity is in meter per second. So here we'll multiply it with 5 by 18 for conversion times G, that is 9.81, E plus F, that is 0.1 plus 0.15 as given in the question. So we solve for R and that comes out as 314.6 meter, or we can approximate it as 315 meters. So option B is the correct answer for this one. Then the next question, here it says in a two-dimensional stress analysis, the state of stress at a point is shown below. The stresses Sx, or we can say sigma x and sigma y, are. So we have to find out the sigma x and sigma y. On this plane, the stresses tau is given as 70 MPa and sigma is given as 120 MPa. Try to solve this. So we can resolve these forces in the horizontal direction and in the vertical direction to obtain the value of sigma x and sigma y. So we can, these lengths of the sides are given. So this angle, if we say, is theta, so cos theta will be equal to 3 by 5 and sin theta will be equal to 4 by 5. So if we are resolving in the horizontal or in the x direction, so we can say sigma x into 4 meter, because we'll be writing the force Fx is equal to 0. So for writing the force, we are using this side length and taking the perpendicular width to the screen as 1 meter. So sigma x times 4 into 1 is equal to, so here if we take this angle, so this angle is theta here. So this angle here will be theta and this angle will be 90 minus theta, and vertical, from vertical this angle will be theta. So from that we can write 120 sin theta, and the component of the shear stress, it will be minus 70 cos theta, and this is acting on this diagonal. Let's say if this is A, B and C, so AC is 5 meters, so here it is 5 times 1. If you are confused with the resolution, so let me show it here. This this shear stress is 70 MPa and this angle is theta here. So this angle here will also be theta. So we can say, if you are taking the horizontal component, so it will be 70 cos theta. Now for this part, for 120 MPa, for the normal stress, this angle here is 90 minus theta. So we will be doing 120 times cos 90 minus theta or 120 sin theta. So that way we are obtaining these values. Then we just have to put the values here. So 120 times sin is 4 by 5 minus 70 times 3 by 5 times 5 by 4. So this 5 cancels out and this is 480 minus 210 by 4. So if you solve this, we obtain sigma x as 67.5 MPa. Now we have to calculate the sigma y in the similar manner. So sigma y times 3, it will be equal to 120 cos theta. If we take the vertical component, so 120 cos theta plus 70 sin theta times, like how we have done in the previous expression, times 5 into 1. So from here we have 120 times 3 by 5 plus 70 times 4 by 5 times 5. So 5 cancels from here and by 3 also we have to do. So this is 360 plus 280, and if you solve this, sigma y we obtain as 213.33 MPa. So that is the value of sigma y. Then we can check the options. So option C, where sigma x is 67.5 and sigma y is 213.3. This is the correct answer for this one. Now moving to the next question. Again, it's a theoretical question. All of you should be able to answer this. Comment your answer also. So here it says the component of strain tensor at a point in a plane strain case can be obtained by measuring the longitudinal strain in the following directions. And then we have these options. So when we have to find out the strain tensor, that is sigma, that is epsilon x, epsilon y, or gamma xy. So for that we use these longitudinal, we use the strain gauge for measuring the longitudinal strain, and for that we need minimum of 3 strain gauges. So if you remember, we have this famous configuration, that is 45-degree rosette. We call this as strain rosette. So in this arrangement we organize these 3 strain gauges at 45-degree angles. So that is 45-degree strain rosette, and then there is one more in which we align them at 120-degree angle. So that is another famous one. So these can be used for finding the strain tensor at a given point on a body. So from here we can read the options. So here it says, it's not necessary that we place them at 45-degree or 120-degree alone. It can be placed at any angle, just that it will be convenient if at the suitable angles of 120 or 45-degree. So here we have to find out along any 3 arbitrary directions to find out the strain tensor. Then let's move on to the next question. Here it says, a rigid bar AB is supported by a spring as shown in the figure. What is the deflection of point B? So this point B, we have to find out the deflection. So as the bar is rigid, it's not going to bend, and if it is deflecting, it will deflect something like this. This is the deflected line. So here we have some deflection, and here at the point where spring is there, and this delta B we have to find out. Let's say this point is C. So first of all we can write the force equilibrium or summation of moments for finding out the force in this spring. So sigma ma is equal to 0 if we write, and taking anti-clockwise as negative. So we have, let's say, force in the spring is F. So it is minus F times 100 plus 500 times 200 is equal to 0, because only these two forces are there. So from that F is equal to, this will cancel out, and we have F as 1000 Newton. So the value of F is 1000 Newton. So we know this relation for spring, F, the force displacement relation. So F is equal to Kx. F is 1000 Newton and K is given as 200 Newton per mm. So from that we obtain the displacement of the spring will be 5 mm. So this deflection here is 5 mm. Now if this is 5 mm, so from the similarity of triangles we can find out that it will double at point B. So here it will be 10 mm because these are equidistant. Or if you want further explanation, so we can write, let's say, delta B upon 200 is equal to 5 upon 100. So from that we have delta B as 5 into 2 or 10 mm. That is from the similarity of triangles here. Then the last question for today. Here it says an overhang beam of uniform EI is loaded as shown in the figure. the deflection at the free end will be. So for this beam A, B, C, let's say, we have to find out the delta C. So try to solve it. So we can remove this overhang part, or we can shift the force here. So here we'll have a force P and a moment PL by 3. Now for this case, if we say what will be the rotation here, so the rotation for a simply supported beam, if M moment is applied at the support, the rotation is given as ML upon 3EI. Theta is given as ML upon 3EI. So the rotation here we obtain as PL by 3 times L upon 3 EI, or that is PL square upon 9 EI. So what basically we are trying to do in this question, we will break this beam into two beams. In first case we have this beam, and here let's say this is rigid here. Actually there is some rotation that we have calculated, but initially let's assume that this is rigid, point B is rigid. Now this is a cantilever of length L by 3, and for cantilever of length L we know the deflection is given as PL cube upon 3EI. Now L here is L by 3. So if we write the total deflection, first is the deflection assuming this point to be rigid, and then there will be some deflection due to the rotation, actual rotation of point B. So that will be theta times L by 3. Now theta we know here, and we know for a rigid support the deflection will be PL cube upon 3EI. So we can write the total deflection of point, this is point C not B, point C as P L by 3 cube upon 3EI, that is assuming this L by 3 length cantilever, plus theta B times L by 3. So theta B we have obtained PL cube upon 9 EI times L by, sorry, this is PL square upon 9 EI times L by 3. So this will be PL cube upon 81 EI plus PL cube upon 27 EI, and if we solve this, so we obtain theta C as 4 PL cube upon 81 EI. That is the required deflection at C. So option C here we can see is giving the correct answer, that is 4 PL cube upon 81 EI. So that way we can simplify these type of problems. I have covered all these sort of combinations in our structural analysis courses. You can buy it today, or you can buy our whole study package also for understanding these concepts more deeply. So this is it for today. Next, I hope you found these questions useful. Also comment how many of these questions you got right today, and if you like the level of these questions and what sort of improvements you would like to see in our quiz. And next week we'll come up with our next quiz. Until then, keep watching our videos and keep preparing for your exams, and also tell your friends about our weekly quiz and the available content that is there.